Well, it's the Musketeer Coaches Show. It's right here on Fox Sports Radio, 620 KMNS. Bob Rose Point after. It's where good times gather. Also brought to you by Johnny Mars. On the line, he is trying to get back here sooner or later. Jason Kersner, the head coach of the Sioux City Musketeers. So we talk Musketeer hockey right now for this hour. And, I guess you get that one thing. Where in the world is Waldo? Where is Coach Jason Kersner at as we speak? Are you in Michigan or some city in between?
Still in Michigan, in the Detroit Wayne area. I'm in Livonia, Michigan, at the hotel that was set up for the All-American game. So still here on what day is it now, Curtis? Tuesday afternoon. Still here.
Well, yeah, this is so interesting, and it was pretty good watching that game. It looked like everything went off like a top, though. I mean, everything was smooth. I had the game on time, except you were in town for about 2 hours.
Yes, me and the two Sioux City players, obviously Shazy and guards, and then we got stuck in Omaha. We were supposed to originally be flying in and out of Sioux City. The players were scheduled, as you know, they were not going to play in our Saturday game at Cedar Rapids, so they were supposed to leave Sioux City Saturday morning to arrive Saturday afternoon in Detroit. So they had it even tougher than I did, and it got all changed to flying out Sunday out of Omaha, and that didn't happen. So Sunday night we stayed in Omaha. And, our first flight Monday morning was canceled, and then we got on the last possible flight. We probably had 17 flight cancellations. That was, if we didn't make that flight, that was it. So we left. We were not making it. We left us and Trevor Connolly from Tri-City. We flew from Omaha to Minneapolis, and then from Minneapolis we got to Detroit, landed at 12 for a 4 p.m. puck drop. So not as difficult just to coach, but for the players, we raced to the hotel. They got a little bit of food in them, changed, and went right over to the rink to play. And for I can't speak for Trevor in Tri-City, I know, but for Shazy and guards, they had not had their skates on since Wednesday's practice in Sioux City. So got to the rink Monday, got dressed, and got out and said, "Hey, here you go. Here's the Chipotle All-American Game."
Wow. I mean, it's almost unreal, and heck, a lot of people thought these darn storms were unreal because it was such a pain. But, to strap them on and get out there and compete. Okay, so you got in, 4 hours before puck drop or 3 hours?
4 hours before puck drop.
Okay, and that's just at the airport, right?
That's at the airport. That's right.
And then you might as well just ship right over to the rink and get things going.
Yeah, they didn't have any. They hadn't eaten, so
no.
It was one of those ones where they just basically raced to the hotel. The pregame meal that was fed to the players had ended, and we walked into the meal room, and the ladies were breaking down all the food, and we made it by, I swear, 90 seconds. Otherwise, the food was all gone, and they saw us racing around the corner, and the three players were able to get a quick meal in, ran up to the room, dropped their bags, changed, and then got on the bus to head right to the rink.
Awesome! That is just nuts. I mean, that's
yeah.
And the other side too is so the boys, the your two guys and Connolly then couldn't make the combine part then, huh?
Correct. That was Sunday afternoon, so they missed that, and then they're some of it's somewhat disappointing, but hey, this is just the reality that we all have to deal with, and then so there's the combine, and then Sunday night there was a big kind of welcome dinner and guest speaker and those kind of things, and then Monday morning they got up and there was a morning skate. Obviously, I'm sure people saw they were wearing all different gear, right? So the morning skate was an opportunity to kind of start breaking in the gloves and get some reps with your new line mates and stuff like that, and they missed all that stuff just the same.
Oh no. Yeah, and it's just an opportunity. Either or, they got there, they got the game in, right?
Most important part, they got the game in, and I thought I speak more for for the Sioux City guys, but Trevor too. I mean, I thought they all performed really well. When you take all things considered, I thought they all had good games and good showings. Especially, it would have been had it been normal trip. I liked all three of their games, but you factor in what they were dealing with. We got that day for them for that 4 p.m. puck drop started. We were at a hotel in Omaha and got picked up at 4:15 in the morning. At the hotel. So and then flew to Minneapolis. I mean, that's a tough long day for those guys to then go out there and really be, like you said, competing against the cream of the crop, right? That really is the top of the food chain in our league. So when you put all that in there, I really, you got to give a lot of respect and appreciation for what those guys did.
Were they the last one you mentioned? They were the last ones to arrive. Was there any other delays on anyone else? Did you hear?
Yes, one player made their scheduled flight, got in on time. One player. There was a couple other guys that.
Was he from Plymouth, Michigan, or what?
No, there was a couple guys there were some guys not flying. Some like I think like a couple of the teams were playing out in the Eastern Conference,
so
they weren't they weren't that far. They were able to get here, just by bus or car or whatever. But out of the people flying in, one player made it on time, and then everyone else was delayed quite a bit. But these were the last three players to. Everyone else at least made it on Sunday, and these are the last three guys to make it on Monday.
Wow. Yeah. Funny what a storm does. It rocked all the USHL area. That means, I mean, we saw a lot of postponements, but in obviously Nebraska and Iowa. But that's crazy. It's bad timing of a weather.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. Oh, by the way, throw out there. I know Ethan and Shahan didn't score a goal, but I saw that video of Shahan. Did he get credit for a save? Because
yeah, I don't know. That was a big play. That was late in the game, but like I said, I thought both of our guys showed very well. I was very happy for them because it's significant, man. That's a just standing on the bench, and gives you kind of a new appreciation for, how good some of the other players are. I mean, hey, I'm honest with you, and I'm sure as we do this weekly, I'm sure towards the end of this we'll start talking about try, and I won't have great answers for you because I spend 98% of my time focused on our team and what we're trying to accomplish and how to play, and I just don't. I just don't spend a ton of time about the other team. So now, obviously, hey, I'm there for the games, and Trevor Connolly, for example, playing tries. He catches your eye quite a bit. Yeah. You notice him quite a bit, and so you don't take that lightly as to how good a player is. But in all seriousness, you're focused on your own team. You just don't see enough. And some of these teams and some of these players, you just don't see that often, whether they're from the East or even this year. We haven't really played much of Lincoln or Waterloo or some of these other teams. So some of the newer players, you just don't quite know them as well. And when you're standing in this environment and you're not really coaching and you're just kind of cheerleading and saying a word here or there, you really get a front row seat at some of the best players. And man, I was blown away with so many guys, and like I said, some of them were kind of newer names to me. But at the same time, I thought Shazian guards just in that environment, I thought they made some really good plays and made some good things happen, and I thought they showed very well. So that is significant because, like I said, this is this really is the top of the food chain. And I think I mentioned this, last week before we even went out there. I mean, the truth is there's such the USHL is so good, and there's such a fine line between being a kind of an all-star player and just another guy out there. So it really is, kind of significant to see all of these guys, in the same environment and competing against one another. It was impressive, and I thought our guys did really well.
Did in this game, I guess it's just interesting. everyone's coming from a different team, or obviously there's some of the same, the national team, obviously. But then you jump on the ice. I guess it's the universal language of hockey. Everyone plays out there, but they have different styles. How does that blend, or you just kind of have to do your best?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. So, and some of it, some of these guys, like there's obviously a lot of national teams. So in those regards, we try to keep those guys together on lines. And then you're just trying to do the best you can with the rest of it. And it's not easy. That is a good question, because it is an interesting component of the game. And I think, in some examples it worked out great, and some it didn't work out great, where there just wasn't a lot of chemistry. Or you have an example of maybe two players that are almost too similar, right? If you have like two real shooters playing together, right? That's a great skill to have, but you're better off generally having that guy paired with a guy who's maybe more of a playmaker. But you get to this kind of thing, and you don't really have that luxury, right? So guys do have to adjust and adapt on the fly, and at some of those kind of combinations work better than others. And again, it has nothing to do with talent, because just by the nature of being in this game, you're a special player to begin with. And again, if you're a shooter, you want to show off. Everybody wants to show off what they're best at, whatever that might be: playing, shooting, checking, whatever that is, right? So that is an interesting component of the game. And I thought, I thought there were some really good examples of it kind of blending together. And I thought there were some times where it's kind of, some kind of collision there with some of those kind of styles and clashes.
Yeah, because I didn't get out of it like all-star-y, let's just dance around out there. These guys wanted to play.
No, you're right. It wasn't that at all. I thought it was as much as it could be for guys just, hey, our guy's getting off the flight. Hey, nice to meet you, line mate, right? I thought it was as much of a real game as it could have been. It featured obviously a lot of plays, a lot of skill, a lot of speed, but some really good saves and some good defensive efforts, and some shot blocking and some penalties and some things of the such. And then, but yeah, I mean, this is because of travel, there was quite a bit of some of the NHL teams that were, I don't want to say teams, at least maybe some specific personnel on teams. I do think every team was represented that could not make it, but the USA Hockey and the league had told me that for the kind of the scout room that checked in for the for the passes and the meals and whatever they do for these guys, I think they said there was 235 NHL personnel coming to watch the game. Not all of them made it, but that's a significant number, man. And that just tells you, what a special opportunity this is for those guys. And so you're right. So they're not just out there, like the Pro Bowl in football. This is just floating, playing flag football, floating around. These guys are trying to leave a lasting impression.
Absolutely. Well, we got to take a break. We'll continue here, the Musketeer Coaches Show. It's brought to you by Bob Rose Point After, also Johnny Mars. And it's right here on Fox Sports Radio, 620 KMNS. The Musketeer Coaches Show is right here on Fox Sports Radio, 620 KMNS. Bob Rose Point After, it's where good times gather. Well, we'd love to have him gather here tonight. He can't be, so he's got to be on phone. He is stuck still up in Michigan. It is Jason Kersner, the head coach of the Sioux City Musketeers, and we're obviously talking about the interest level in something like this. We're talking about the game, and what were we talking? Top 45 prospects for a draft? Is that what it is? Something like that?
Yeah. So obviously, players that have already been drafted are not included in this game, right? This is all about kind of the upcoming draft. So I think it was. 8D on each side. One team had 12 forwards, one team had 13, and then, 4 goalies. So, and like I said, I was really kind of blown away by the, just the talent level and the competitive spirit. I think it was interesting for me to just even be on the bench and kind of sit back and watch not just the on ice play, but really kind of some of the best players, in North America and the spirit in which they just address their craft, the level of professionalism and preparedness, and then obviously their execution on the ice. But I think it's really interesting to watch how they go about their business. And, I think you can learn from watching the best at their craft. And, so I was just appreciative of the opportunity to kind of have a front row seat as to how these guys go about their business.
You said so many scouts and personnel from the NHL were there. Now, is this similar representation like maybe that we saw at the Fall Classic?
Bigger, I would say.
Bigger NHL. Yeah. Obviously, Fall Classic. They got college too, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's some colleges here. Every single player in the game was already committed.
Yeah.
So certainly some of the colleges came to, and certainly Michigan and Michigan State, some of the easier travel ones, to kind of come check in on a significant number of their own players that were in the game. So, and I saw other schools there, but this really is kind of centered around the NHL and the draft, and that's just the central component of what this whole day was all about for these guys.
Absolutely. Obviously you got a lot of camera work. You don't get that in the USHL, Coach. I thought the ensemble looked good. You looked a little USA-ish with a Musketeer pin.
Yeah, I thought, you're right. I figured here at the All-American Game, the kind of the classic white shirt, red tie was in order with the blue suit. So I'm happy you noticed that. I appreciate you doing that. And of course, yeah, it's funny. Somebody said something like, "You can take the Musketeer pin off." I said, "Absolutely not." I said, "This is a, I'm just appreciative to represent Sioux City. That's what this is. I understand it's the All-American Game, and it's not, that's not what it's about. But it's that's why I was there. And like I told you, I acknowledge that this is." It's not I don't consider it a personal honor being there, right? I acknowledge that that's due to the success of the collective, and that's, ownership and staff and general manager and scouting staff and coaches and players. I'm standing there because of the success of the collective. So it was a significant honor and just appreciative to represent Sioux City. So, yeah, we're keeping the pin on, man. That's why we're there.
Absolutely. So that is behind. Now you got to get here, hopefully tomorrow, and then we get going. That pause, and obviously for great cause, because my goodness, just the drifting that happened. And honestly, Coach, maybe 12 years ago, we would have played those games and risk it. I just don't think we do that anymore.
No, and none of us. And when I say none of us, I mean, from the Sioux City side, plus the opponent side, we're kind of interested. It's funny you say that. 12 years ago, I was the Saturday game that got postponed was against Cedar Rapids, and Mark Harrison, who's been coaching in this league for a very long time. And, as we were kind of talking about the weather and the forecast and whether to do it or not, certainly lean on his experience. And he was telling some horror stories about some terrible mistakes that were made over the years on those kind of travel trips, and wishing that he had not done that. And he was actually saying one of the worst ones he'd ever been on, he couldn't remember what year, it was a while ago, was a trip from CR to Sioux City. And he said going back was just not a good decision. So I think they ended up pulling over and finding a hotel somewhere. So it's just you said it correctly. It's not worth it, and we're not here to put ourselves, our players, our staff, and even fans, right? Like whether the game is in Sioux City or CR, right? You don't want to put the fans at risk trying to get to the game. So no, cooler heads prevailed. Everybody made good decisions, and now we're in the process of rescheduling.
Yeah, it was interesting that, of course, I was texting back with Rick Stewart, obviously, too, because we were just kind of reminiscing. He's like, hey, I already know what it feels like to spend 4 straight hours on Highway 20.
Yeah.
It's like, it can be scary out there. Yeah. Do you have any dates? I'll throw that out there. I don't think you have them ready yet, do you?
No, I would say it's looking like very likely that the CR game will be made up as a 3-3 on the tail end of our upcoming Green Bay trip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that will be finalized, I think today, but that just kind of came through here recently, and that's what it's looks like it's trending towards.
Well, that's definitely interesting. Omaha might be easier. Is that you think?
Yeah, we haven't. Obviously, the biggest factor in rescheduling these things, as you know, Curtis, is just building availability and what other events and things are happening, in towns. You got to start there, and then you get available dates, and then try to match that with the two teams' schedules. So I would imagine just Omaha being easier, just in the sense that it's 90 minutes, and that was originally a weeknight game to begin with. So makes it. I do think part of the thing with CR is they had an event going on that game that has to get rescheduled. So you want to put that on a weekend for whatever kind of sponsor people that were associated with that. You obviously you can't just say Tuesday night and all of a sudden they can't make it to that thing. So there's obviously it's more of a kind of a home team decision and with input from the away team, but these things can get tricky to get rescheduled. Omaha, just with the proximity, should be a little bit easier.
Well, it's funny because you got so much. Heck, yeah, there is still. Let's see, you got 29 more games to fit in there in a certain amount of time. I know it's a long season, but it does creep up on you.
Yeah, it does.
Right now, Sioux City sitting 18-9 and 6, 42 points. Fargo in first at 57. Trying to sneak up Sioux Falls right there at 39. They have they've played 2 extra games. And then Waterloo at 36, Tri-City 34, Lincoln 28, Des Moines 28, and Omaha 17. It's interesting. It's going to be a race all the way to the end, it sure seems like, especially maybe you guys, Sioux Falls, Waterloo, and Tri, and then maybe some other guys can creep up a little.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine, listen, and we've acknowledged this fact for a long time. I mean, Fargo is on a, really a significant and a kind of historic run and season that they're putting together. So I would be shocked if any of us were able to kind of catch them for first place, or anyone catch them for the Anderson Cup. I just got the utmost respect for, what they're doing there. So, but you're right. I do think that kind of next grouping for sure with us and Sioux Falls and Waterloo and Tri, those are very good teams, and we think we're a good team. But that's going to be a kind of, I really do think a neck and neck race for the rest of the season. Could even come down the last weekend to see who's able to finish second, which, as you know, and we learned last year, has a kind of a little bit of a significant advantage come playoff time to finish second, even over third and fourth.
Well, yeah, you said at home ice, you get that first round, bypassed, you get healthy, all those fun things,
Yep.
Yeah, so flying through, and so Sioux City has Tri-City coming up on Friday. Sioux City has Tri-City coming up on Saturday, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as the show goes on. But Friday, every goal score, Travis is giving out $100 again because, that's pretty good. If you guys score 9 more goals on the cash giveaway, I think Travis is just going to probably start printing some money, huh?
You're right, and listen, I love the promotion, and I know Trav does too. I know it's always tough to be handing out that many Benjamins, but I hope that's the case again, man. That would only be a good thing for us if we're able to do that against a good team in Tri-City coming to town.
Absolutely. Oh, let me get another break in. We'll talk about this weekend and what's going on with the team. Who's here? We were still missing some guys before, so we'll be right back. This is the Musketeer Coaches Show. It's brought to you by Bob Rose Point After and Johnny Mars on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS. Musketeer Coaches Show is right here. Bob Rose Point After is where good times gather. It's also brought to you by Johnny Mars. Musketeer Coaches Show. We talk all things Musketeer hockey, and Jason Kersner is the head coach of the Musketeers. He's still in Michigan. He had a heck of a challenge getting there So why not have a challenge back? I mean, you might as well make it even, Steven, both ways, right?
Kurs, I've been for hopefully some of our fans will be familiar with the reference. I have sold so many shower rings at airports. All right, that's what this trip feels like.
Oh, yeah, you just don't have a John Candy with you or a Steve Martin, right? And you're going to rent a car to finish or something?
That's right.
Oh boy, yeah, it's been one of those things, and you'll get back, and we'll get rolling, and we'll go back to normalcy of the season, and a team that you haven't played in quite a while is Tri-City. But before we talked about finishing up, we talked about Friday giving out $100. Saturday, I don't know. Was there any nomination of Golden Globes when it comes to the Frenchie 500 spot?
I don't know about what kind of Actors Guild or award ceremony they offer for inside the USHL, but I will say I did get as many text messages regarding that particular ad as I did for even the opportunity to coach in the All-American Game. So let that say what the people are most interested in.
Yeah, It is. That's hilarious. It's like, hey, I saw the ad. That was really funny. Oh, by the way, congrats on that whole All-Star thing.
That's right.
That's always like, I get this from in the past. I get from someone, hey, I listened to you. It sounded great. Boy, that fight was awesome. And I'm like,
yeah.
It's at least they got to the point. Tri-City. It is strange, this schedule that we have, and it's every year. I'm not saying anything different. Yep. It's what was it, September when you played them?
The weekend right after we got back from Pitt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my line charts. I got a feeling they might be a little different. I know I have to do a lot of updating on points for Tri-City, especially when it comes to like Trevor Conley, Nizameyev. I guess I'm recognizing these names, Coach, but it seems like so long ago.
I mean, you're right. And it did feel like last year we were in quite the rhythm playing them, very often. And, just the way it's worked out. You would know better than me how many total times we play them this year. I
think it's usually 8.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see them quite a bit here in the second half. But it's going to be it really is going to be a whole new matchup. You can throw out whatever happened that first weekend of the year. Both rosters, I'm sure, have had some change with some personnel, but also just all teams now by this point are getting way more settled in as it relates to your identity and style of play versus where you're at on Game 3 of the regular season.
Well, I tell you, it's been just great battles between you guys and Tri-City, and I think it was early in the season. Now, as everyone's skates are sharpened, we got to look forward to a really competitive weekend.
Oh, for sure. Just a really good team, and one that has some real splash players, and Trevor Connolly being the top of that list of splash game changers, right? That can pop off and impact the outcome of a game at any moment and on any given shift. So there's no doubt. Again, that's a team that does a lot of good things and is good in other areas, but honestly, if you're talking about that team and you're talking about pre-scout and what you have to do, that's a player that has our attention more so probably than anybody else in the league, and one that it creates so many challenges, and one that we're going to have to do everything that we can to try to disrupt and slow down. In an effort to pursue victory next weekend.
Yeah, because I don't even know if they play on the same line, but that Smith and Nizameyev to go along with Conley as veterans. You're just like, they could be pretty top heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Again, I don't have a great feel for the entire roster yet, but again, just that's those top names, and most importantly, Connolly. That's for our fans, that's kind of as talented as a player that you're going to see. That's a projected early first round NHL draft pick that's going to come in, and it really is going to take a lot of us to try to disrupt his normal flow and try to slow him down. To see if we can find a way to win a game.
It's one of the things I like digging out numbers, and obviously, and you'll see it as we go on, is because it's interesting. Because special teams have to be a factor in this one. Especially your penalty kill, I guess. Because they're sitting with 52 more power plays than you guys have.
Yeah, I mean, again, anytime you're dealing with really talented offensive players, certainly not giving them. We saw that, Curtis, it feels like, what was that, a month ago when we last played a game? But we saw that in the second game against Madison, where they had some other really talented offensive players, and we were doing a nice job against them 5-on-5 in disrupting kind of their normal flow and rhythm and how they want to attack us. And but then in that third period of the second game, we just took too many penalties, and obviously they were able to capitalize on the power play. But it just gives those really talented players just that extra time and space, and the opportunity to kind of creep into the high danger areas to deliver high end shots, and whether they go straight in or create secondary rebounds and things like that. So that was an important component of the Madison game, and you're right, it'll be similar here to stay out of the box, A, and then B, kill them off when you get the chance, because too many talented players to just be given that much time and space to.
Absolutely. I guess one thing is we're going to look at this team, and you'll look at the team when you get back and go, okay, who's here? For people out there, Urban, he did make it into town, correct?
He's back. Yeah, he's back. So we are back to our now what will be kind of normal goaltending tandem of Sam and Dylan.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good to see, because kind of normalcy, then have those two guys going back and forth, obviously. How about anybody else health-wise, any new bodies, anything like that we need to know?
Nope, nothing else. Roster remains the same with where we're at. So, we have our, and I think I haven't been in the rink, but haven't heard of, obviously talking to the assistants and everything, haven't heard of anything gone wrong throughout the week. So I expect to return to a kind of full deck of cards, which would be our 14 forwards and 8 defensemen that are in-house, and the same names and bodies that have been there. So no changes.
Well, and you've made some tweaks here and there, obviously. Sean Clark has, but do you see, and maybe not even you and your team, do you see big trades happening at deadline like we've seen in the past with teams?
It's such a great question, Curtis, and I don't know the answer to that. I think Again, I just don't have enough experience. I would say no would be my guess. I'm not saying that there won't be some movement. There certainly will. But to me, if you just look at the standings in both conferences, you have a lot of teams that are still, jockeying for positions. So, and the deadlines are basically a month away. I think the second player for player one might be 5 weeks away or something along those lines. So, obviously things can change, and the trajectory of a team and the decisions that their, teams make, and, how they want to approach the deadline. I can't really speak to that, but everybody's still in the mix, on both sides. So I'm not sure you're going to see. Last year, there were some teams that decided that they were going to be sellers, and they had already decided, Curtis, by this date last year. The moves had already started to begin, in Madison last year, in Muskegon last year, in Omaha last year. And all of these teams are still, yeah, they're still in the fight. So I'm just not sure, how that's gonna progress. And if teams, again, there will be some moves, but I'm not sure you're going to see some of the, kind of major pieces that were moving hands around this time last year. I'm just not sure we'll see it again this year.
Yeah, it's interesting. You got teams that are competing and teams that are not out of it, and I don't know. It just kind of flows differently year to year.
Sure.
All right. Well, let's see. We cover everything. We have everybody back. We have personnel back. It's because you mentioned Madison, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. That's your last game was Madison.
Yeah. It's been a while, and even for our guys, obviously, me and Jason Kersner aren't there, but since we practiced as a team on Wednesday, and then the guys we left town, we didn't get out, but we at least made it to Omaha at that point. Our guys had not gotten on the ice Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Right? It was just that the weather was so bad locally that guys couldn't get out of their driveways. The places were closed. Right? So it was there was kind of some mandatory off days in there.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about it too. You're like, okay, these games got canceled. Great opportunity to really catch up on practice, or not.
Yeah. Turned out it wasn't even that, which you're right, could have been sometimes those things are blessings, right? You have some, whether they're team play things that you want to kind of address and work on, or again, just whether it be player development stuff and individual skills and some opportunity to kind of help guys. We didn't even get that opportunity. And it was, hey, listen, it was as we mentioned, it was the right call, and it worked out the way it should have. But you and I talked on the radio show after the Madison games, but I really did, I thought we were moving in the trajectory that we liked after those games. I thought it was, we were okay, but a little bit kind of sluggish coming out of the break. Mm-hmm. And I loved our Madison games. I loved the practices that we did have after the Madison games, and it just really felt like the team was kind of turning that corner to take the next step coming out of the break. And here we are.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, oh, gosh, when I talked about acting debut, I didn't even mention, it is the Frenchie 500, by the way.
That's right.
The sad thing is you're going to be sitting in the locker room. You won't be able to, cover it like the commercial.
That's right. Unfortunately, we won't have an opportunity to take it in. We will have all hands on deck with our a handful of a team coming to town in Tri-City. So I do hope you and the crowd gets to enjoy the show, and maybe we'll catch a rerun.
Hopefully you don't need another Zamboni after the 500's over.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. I will see you at the rink. Safe travels.
Thank you, Curtis.
Yep, Jason Kersner, head coach of the Sioux City Musketeers. Musketeer Coaches Show at Bob Rose Point After, also brought to you by Johnny Mars on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS.